On this week's episode, Dustin returns, Chris is gone, and we have a very special guest for you. Stay tuned.
I didn't know if they bought Ford or...
No, I don't know.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Real Truck Nation podcast. This is episode 9. So today we have Dustin, as always, and our special guest, Klay. Klay is a Jeep guy by trade, so we're going to be talking truck with him today and kind of picking his brain a little bit.
Can't wait.
Should be a fun one. But anyway, I guess we'll just kind of roll into talking about the 2021 F-150. I think this is really going to be the truck of this spring, truck of the winter. It's I've seen a few around town now. I think they look fantastic, and I think they're going to change how trucks are built from here on out. I think.
Yeah, you know, Ford's been really struggling with selling those F-150s year after year. It's going to be, let's see if they can recoup some of that.
Right, but they keep on top of themselves. I'm not saying this because I'm a Ford guy. I think in a lot of ways they're industry leaders.
Sure. So what, is it all aluminum now? Is everything aluminum?
Pretty much.
So
yeah.
Cab, doors, bed sides,
yep,
all aluminum.
Hood, all that.
That's cool.
Yep. So some of the features with the new one, because they obviously carried over a lot of the engines, the whole aluminum thing. Dimensionally, it's pretty much the same.
So then what's new?
It has some
headlights.
new feature. Of course,
The old one didn't have headlights.
they have to figure out a way how to make it more expensive than the last one. I think that seems to be the game every model.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah. So, of course, all the same trim packages, all the way up to limited. But now you can option just from fiddling around on Ford's website, building a truck. I was able to option a F-150 limited up to $82,000.
Oh, I see they're going affordable this year.
Yeah.
They're really trying to hit that value.
Speaking of that, what's the bottom? Like, what's an average dude going to get an F-150
An average dude with an XLT, probably not that much different. An XLT
80,000? Like you're...
I don't know. I don't want to put a number on it. It's probably not.
For some reason, 40 to 50,000 kind of.
For a base, for a regular dude.
Well, it depends what you call base.
Yeah, regular guy. Like you're like regular dude.
Like an XLT Lariat.
Sure. No, Lariat. Drop the Lariat. Like regular, I go into Ford. I don't want the work package with vinyl floor mats, but I don't want a badge on my tailgate.
XLT Sport.
There we go.
Yeah,
that
like
sounds right.
Something like that.
Yeah, I honestly don't know the number on that. It's probably pretty similar to 2020.
It'd probably be 40 to 50.
Something like that.
I think that'd probably be your average.
Yeah. But,
which is still expensive, man.
Because also what they do, even in the last model, is
when you can get a Jeep for that. I mean, I'm not sure why. Just
all of the features and all the additional options end up coming in the higher trim packages, which just kind of drive the price up on your Lariats, your King Ranch Platinums, Limiteds, things like that. But so for example, have you seen the generator option?
No, I've seen 0 options.
Okay, this is fun. So, Dustin, I think you might.
Yeah, so I know that there's multiple options with the generator, and how much power it can offer. And this, I know the maximum amount is 7.2 watt hours. Is it kilowatt hours?
Kilowatts.
Anyways, that is available on the 3.5 EcoBoost.
So 7.2 is in 7,000.
Yeah, 7,200. Which can power like half of a house or something.
Yeah.
In Florida, that could be super usful if hurricane season comes through. Power gets knocked out for a couple of weeks.
Camping, on the job site. I mean, shoot at the tailgate. At the beach, whatever.
7.2 is substantial, man. Like you're talking 10,000 to run an average like home air conditioner, right? Go. So like I have a generator, and it's I think 55 or 65.
Okay,
6.5. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. That is the best option. I think it only comes on the Power Boost, which is like their full hybrid truck. I
was just gonna ask. I'm assuming it's in the engine bay somewhere, or is it in? Where does it live on the truck?
Not sure.
Don't know. Right. They don't get into that.
Yeah, but
it's secret.
I guess so. Industry secret.
There's no pictures
because
it's an option.
There are smaller options. I think like 2.4 kilowatt hours was the smallest option, and you can get that on the non-hybrid version. So that'd still be good for camping. Still be good for working some power tools in the back of your truck if you're on the job site.
Power your market lights and whatever else when you're camping stuff. But you can option it up all the way up to having 14 outlets. You can have 14 outlets on a truck. You can get and that'll include 120 and 240.
So you need like your washing machine and stuff?
I guess so, right? Yeah.
You get that covered.
Full-size refrigerator.
If you got a weld.
Yeah. It's up to 30 amps. So.
You're going to be able to build your house and power your house. Just having
that's a good point. 30 amps. I mean, that matches the 7.2K, but like you're definitely not going to run a big welder off of the amp hour. So,
yeah. But pretty much any tools, anything like that. I mean, it's still a pretty neat feature to just have in the bed of a truck, right where like the tie down would be on the driver's side. You just flip it up, and you got a whole outlet panel there. So I think that's kind of neat. And again, they're just kind of push the envelope a little bit more on that. I think other trucks are going to follow.
Tailgate, you can get your blender out, make some margaritas or something.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many options.
It'd be fun.
We could do an entire podcast just on how much we could.
We could do a podcast by plugging all of these mics and everything into the truck. Just do it all powered off the truck.
We have to see if we can like blow it though. That's the point,
right?
Right. Is not just to use it. We got to find. If we're testing, you have to find the limitations. So
yeah,
how much of all this equipment could we just start plugging into it and then see what happens?
How long of an extension cord is going to hook up to
600 feet, right?
So that's one cool feature. That's one of the more I guess you can say practical features, such as also they have the option that the center console shifter can then lay flat, and then the top of the console armrest lid will invert and lay on top of it, so you have a completely flat work surface on top of your console there. So you can put your laptop there. You can write, sign papers, because if anytime you try writing on like the padded leather or anything,
all the time.
Yeah,
there's so many times
signing all those checks.
My Jeep, and I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a desk in here.
Well, now you can with the 2021 F-150.
I'm kind of getting sold, man.
Yeah,
I'm in there.
Also, maybe you get tired from signing all those checks and you want to lay the seat completely flat. That's also an option in the higher trim packages. You can lay it completely flat.
Now the Jeep does that technically. Like they go all the way back, and some of the seats just fold up and tumble. So.
Oh, okay. One Jeep.
Yeah.
But can you plug in your lava lamp while you're trying to take a nap?
Well, I was gonna ask, is it standard?
No.
Any plugs in the bed, are they standard? Right, like not 14, but do they have some converted power to the bed?
Depends what you call standard, because different trim packages will have different standard options. So it might not be standard on an XL, but it might be standard on an XLT.
Okay.
So,
because that would make practical sense. Most people don't need a 7.2.
Yeah.
Right. Like if they had just the alternator wired in so that there was some converter that had a outlet or two in the back, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I think all of them have two inside, but I think they're starting to get them bed outlets standard in the bed on most of your trim packages. Not 100%, because of course all these fiery features are only really in the higher end ones. That's typically what they tend to show. So those are some of your more utilitarian features, I guess. Also, they did go to a slightly bigger tire. You'd probably be happy to hear.
Oh yeah, so we're in like 28-inch range now or something.
No, I don't know. It's
metric 150,000,
275, 6520, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from those two, they do have things such as speakers in the headrests now.
I don't understand that.
More surround sound experience.
Yeah,
it's like they're coming after Mercedes.
Oh, Sam, you see what they're doing is you can now plug in your home theater system into the generator so that you can have your surround sound speakers and have a projector screen out in front of the truck now.
So the important things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The needs.
The things everyone's been wanting and asking.
It's literally covering
everything.
I
really want this truck, but it doesn't have headrest speakers, so I think I'm going to pass.
I think the headrest speaker thing was done in mid 80s. Like there were cars that were coming out with, like we were talking about this yesterday, about stuff that came in cars in the 80s. It was kind of not needed and weird.
I have to ask my parents about that.
I had a car that had a joystick for the balance. Right? Like it's dumb. You're like, what would you, but as soon as you say it, you're like, I don't know. I mean,
that's ahead of its time.
It was. Right? You see that coming back.
Maybe. Hey.
It's like you go buy an old Rolls Royce right now, or you go buy a new Rolls Royce right now. It probably has an analog clock in it.
It might. Mm-hmm. It might.
Exactly. But yeah, so you can get all of these options for $82,000. I think they look really sharp. I think there's definitely a big range. Probably anywhere from you get the same truck F-150 probably from $30K to $82. It's a wild range.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
It's a wild range.
That's kind of cool, though. I like that part of it.
Gives you options.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people. I mean, most of our customers, we're trying to get people to buy accessories, right? So if you get a truck that is fully loaded with everything that most people can't attain, it's cool that they offer the same platform and something that you could afford, and then you can get. It's the stage thing, right? Like you don't have to build a King of the Hammers truck like right off of the rip. You can get the base model, whatever, or your sport.
Yeah.
And then
it has a low barrier to entry, but a high ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if it's full aluminum body, the motor's pretty much tried and true by now. If they did they change the displacement and that whole thing on the turbo?
No, most all that is essentially the same as far as the 3.5 EcoBoost is still the engine that they're pushing.
Yeah, 2015 might have been the last big revision for the actual motor itself. I don't think they've made any big revisions since then. So
and I haven't heard anybody like blowing them up.
I've heard a lot of success stories. So them lasting a really long time.
Because I was kind of concerned when that first came out. I was one of the naysayers, like
like anything with turbos. You have to keep up with your maintenance. The minute you start slacking on maintenance with a turbo car or something, you can run into problems. But they do now also have the what they call the Power Boost, which is their hybrid option. So that is new to the 2021. So I don't think it's going to be a huge seller for them right out of the gate. I think there's going to be a lot of naysayers, a lot of people that want to see it be proven. It's also doesn't come standard on any option or any package. It's typically a $2,000 upgrade. Maybe it's $1,900 upgrade on top of the 3.5 EcoBoost. So it is a little bit more, but you get all the hybrid goodies with it, and then also that's how you obtain the larger generator options and things like that. So maybe that's a reason for people to go try the Power Boost.
I mean, it does have a longer range as far as per tank. It can do up to 700 miles on a single tank.
Yeah.
It's got more
that
power.
That seems too much, man. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. I know I'm a Jeep guy in a truck show, but like, gee, 700 miles.
It's
like,
fantastic.
Does it have a toilet in it? Like, you can't go that far.
That's next, really.
Like, instead of speakers in the headrest, you need a camel pack. And like,
no, I'm a road trip guy, and I love extended range tanks.
You're telling me you could do 700 miles? We could get in a truck at a gas station. You get all the
that's
whatever.
That's 10 plus hours right there.
Chips, whatever.
Maybe
you
not
get.
that, but I don't have to.
And 700 miles. You're good. You're
so here's what happens when I go on a road trip like that. I get a cooler that sits right behind the front seats. So I can
just water.
Yeah, just water, and some chips or whatever I need, granola bar, something like that. Boiled peanuts. So I don't need to actually stop at a place. If I need to go to the bathroom, I just pull over, pee on the side of the road, do whatever I do. I don't need to slow down. I don't need to get off of that exit. So I can just keep on going, keep on hauling. I don't have to stop.
You got me there. See, I'm used to traveling with my wife and all my daughters, and so we stop every literally. I could have a car that had a 45-mile range. And I would be fine.
See, Brooke's a trooper, and she'll pee on the side of the road when necessary. Shout out to Brooke. She's a trooper with it. She doesn't like stopping because then we got to pull off the exit. We got to go into the Loves, and she's like, oh, Cinnabon, and then it takes so much longer, and I don't know. It's the convenience factor and knowing we can pack up, or if you have more than if you have like two people to switch off driving. one could sleep, the other hop off, drive.
Since we're on this topic, have you ever intentionally pulled off the highway into a gas station that you know is probably the worst bathroom ever, just to see if the people that are in the car with you will go use it?
No. I
mean,
Brooke,
I have.
Brooke will look
at
Brooke will look at the gas station and say no, thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I might do the same, but sometimes it's not always up to you. And that's another great way about having an extra range tank. You say, you know what, we're just gonna pass this one.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep on going another few hundred miles, find a better one. You're not stuck.
No.
You know, in that Cummins I had a little bit ago, drove to basically the North Carolina border and back, one tank. It was fantastic.
Man.
Yeah, don't have to stop. Which of course, that is a one trip there, you stay for a few days, one trip back. Don't need to see a gas station all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm all for the extended range.
Yeah.
Like you said, it saves a lot of time that you don't have to actually get out and fill up the gas tank.
Even around town, instead of filling up every week or two,
Every
fill
month.
up every month.
Exactly.
It's great. You probably have a pretty good range in yours.
Yeah, on the highway I can go, because my wife's hometown is 800 miles away, and we can pretty much get there on one tank.
Yeah, but you have a 65-gallon tank.
Yeah.
So it's not about the fuel economy.
it's
about the fact that you have a Mad Max truck that,
it's not.
for the end of the world already, that's probably got 2 tanks. Like, that was back when Ford was like, drink the gas.
Exactly. No, it's a 44 gallon, and it the gas mileage still isn't great. It costs to fill it up, but yeah, going literally
44.
The spare tire has to sit inside the vehicle because there's no room under the vehicle.
That's like, I mean, we've all seen a 50-gallon drum, right? Are we visualizing the same thing?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
44 gallons.
It's like a 3-man job to drop that tank.
Yeah, really. You hurt yourself if you drop that on yourself.
So, speaking of dropping tanks too, so the next one we're going to roll into, and Klay, you'd be more familiar with this than me, is we're going to talk about some of the favorite tools in the garage. We were having a side conversation about this before the podcast, but we were kind of talking about some of our favorite tools, and then where do you spend the money? Where do you cheap out? Where do you buy Snap-on? Where do you buy Harbor Freight?
Yeah,
you can buy a lot of Harbor Freight.
Right.
Yeah,
but there's things that's like, as I see it, I say, puts my life in danger.
Well, it's all about
you know what I mean?
What tools you're getting from where, because there's a certain range of tools that you need to go.
And it depends on what your long-term, like, are you...
Is it a one-time use tool? Is it disposable?
Like, are you trying to get something done this weekend on a vehicle? Like, let's say you're putting a lift on your truck, and it's you bought the entry-level F-150, you're getting a lift, and you plan on never putting another lift in a truck, right? And so there might be some tools you're going to get for this one job. Harbor Freight can, like, make it happen, but I've broken everything that I've ever had from Harbor Freight eventually,
which I don't think that's going to surprise. That shouldn't surprise anybody, because it's like,
but it's easy in, like, the angle grinder at Harbor Freight, I want to say with the coupon is like $1.50.
God, he does a coupon,
right? Like, it's the cheapest thing ever
with a lifetime warranty.
And when you go, if you don't know what you're looking at, and you go to Lowe's first and you look at the DeWalt 10 amp for $140, and then you go to Harbor Freight and you're like, man, it's under $10, then
I'm gonna buy 6 of them.
Yeah, there's a place for them for sure.
Yeah. So because I've always I don't like spending a whole lot on tools unless it's something I know I'm going to, maybe like a power tool set or something. I might go DeWalt or spend a little bit more money on that. And then, like I said earlier, like jack stands. Mm-hmm. I don't want to buy jack stands from Harbor Freight.
See, that's the one thing that I buy from Harbor Freight.
Really?
Like, I get the 2.5 ton or whatever, the 6 ton, the big truck ones.
Yeah.
Like, for Jeeps, you don't even need any of that stuff.
They had a recall recently. It's like earlier this year. They had a recall because the ends of the teeth were getting rounded off and they'd fall. Check them. But
I have put things on jack stands that you should never do.
Yeah.
And I've never had. I would want to see the debater in me goes, prove it. I want to see the guy and what you put on that jack stand, because, like I said, I have taken motors and transmissions out of trucks on trailers using jack stands, not on level ground, and been this is super scary. I got ratchet straps holding it down, and I've never had the teeth on a jack stand.
Yeah.
Shear.
And then like the angle grinder. I will buy the angle grinder from Harbor Freight. I'm not buying the wheels from Harbor Freight.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
Right.
No consumables.
Oh,
Right.
God, no.
0 consumables.
Right. Exactly.
No drill bits, right?
No.
Like there's-
No, yeah, I know.
Absolutely
Go
not.
buy the
Yeah.
the Craftsman DeWalt drill bits, whatever. Yeah, don't buy the drill bits from there. Consumables, that's a good one. The only exception to that might be Sawzall blades.
Even
Because I'll throw them out.
Well,
when I'm
and
cutting metal or
that's-
something, they just get tore up anyway. So
Yeah.
I'd rather just tear up the cheap
I
one
have
because
awful
you buy the
luck.
expensive ones, they get expensive to be disposable.
Well, when I was thinking about this tool, like what am I talking? Hand tools, power tools, fabrication tool, right? Like
Not
anything.
fabrication, I don't know.
So I would say if you're entry level guy and you don't have really any tools, what good tools should you buy? I would say a decent open-ended, close-ended wrench set, right? That goes from, I don't know, 10 millimeter up to 20 or 22 or whatever. Because with that and a crescent wrench, you can kind of do just about anything.
Do a lot.
If you're going to install bumpers, like if you're getting past the basic maintenance phase and you're getting into, I want to buy expensive things and put them on my truck, at least with the Jeep stuff and most of all the truck stuff I've done, nothing actually fits. Right? Like it fits-ish, but it's like you're prying this or moving that.
Trimming this.
And this is where a good angle grinder and good unibit, which will, again, sticker shock. Like you're talking about $50 for one good unibit. But that unibit it's huge, right? Like if you went and bought drill bits that were all in those sizes that could bore out a 3/4 inch hole because the manufacturer got it wrong, right? Like you would have $400 in bits. And if you get past that and you're actually into, okay, I've bought stuff, I've done whatever, and I want to make some things, I would say number one money would be welder, a decent used welder.
Okay.
My rule is if the tool itself is running off electricity or gas, spend money on it. And that includes the attachment on the item, whether it's a drill bit, whether it's the actual blade or something like that.
Because the power tool is only as good as the bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I actually haven't. Harbor Freight has a whole new generation of like lithium ion stuff.
I still wouldn't mess with it.
I haven't messed with it, like because I've already progressed from all the stuff I broke and bought DeWalt or Milwaukee stuff, and
most of my hand tools are still the cheap stuff. Even the open-ended wrenches, socket.
Yeah.
I do get a good ratchet. Cheap sockets.
Good point. I agree. I have a decent ratchet.
Yeah. So like I have like a snap-on set of sockets and stuff. And
you got to buy you got to buy the cheap sockets because I lose them all the time.
That too.
So I'm just not going to be upset about it. I just have to buy another set.
No one. See, you get 10 13 millimeters. You need 10 15 millimeters, and you need 10 millimeters.
No one's bought more 10 millimeter sockets than this guy right here. Especially working on Hondas growing up, which I'm pretty sure 95% of the fasteners on a Honda is a 10 millimeter bolt, at least the old ones. So
I used to buy some like some of your high end truck tools like Snap-on, Mako, stuff like that. You buy them on eBay, and you buy them where they're super old.
Or pawn shops.
Right? Or you can find them on like old yard sales or something like that. People might not
see some good deals at
value
flea
them a lot
markets
or something. Yeah, flea market stuff like that, because it doesn't matter if it's a 2019 model or a 1990 model. They got a warranty on
They
them.
do.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel bad about buying the old Snap-on set, because if it breaks,
you kind of hope it breaks at that point.
Right?
I think Pete was going somewhere to look for a tool for us next door, and wherever he was at, they had a used Snap-on, like a half-inch drive, and it was broke, but it was $2. Right? And he bought it and brought it back, and he used to work in an OE shop, so he knows the Snap-on guy or whatever. Took it to the dude, they fixed it, and it's like a million tooth, because a lot of times you get one click, right? Like, so that's the tooth engagement,
and that's why you get the expensive.
Yeah, on a cheaper wrench, it has to have a quarter turn before it clicks.
It's so satisfying. You can't move your hand a whole lot, but kind of along those lines, some of my favorite tools that I've gotten recently. One, a battery impact. It's gotten me into some trouble, but man, is it satisfying.
Those are nice.
It is.
They can be expensive too.
They can get
up to the.
They can
almost
get expensive,
several
but I think
$100.
Ryobi has one that like comes in a set for like $100.
I would not spend. Yeah. I would not go budget on any impact.
Have you broke bolts with that?
Yeah.
Okay, what were the bolts? What were you remember what they were on?
I hate talking about this.
It was a 10 millimeter on a
so torqued it up to 150
you got
pounds.
Me. It did.
So I think it was a lug on a trailer hub.
Okay.
There's something, and it goes up to like 300 or something stupid.
Yeah, that's I guess what I was gonna ask is that
I have to back off with a breaker bar.
Okay. Yeah. So it works. Then.
Most people are torquing their bolts. They snug it and then they tighten it the rest of the way. No, you're going the opposite
Sometimes,
way.
yeah, if it's like something I didn't care about or whatever, but like your modern battery impacts can tighten to spec pretty much anything on your truck. Anything.
Well, the problem is it's not adjustable.
There are 3 settings. So like setting 1 will go up to
I don't.
Well, that's how many dukkah-dukkas do you get?
Yeah,
right. Like that's like, do you get in there and you're just, or are you just right? Like so. That
but
is a
if you're just trying
thing.
to take stuff off real speedy, or it's rust on there, you don't feel like
taking stuff off is what they're amazing for that. Yeah. I have a disability where when I put things back on, every single time I take a wheel off that's been to a shop, I'm mad because I know it's on at 1,000,000 foot-pound of torque. It's an aluminum wheel that's supposed to be somewhere between like 100, 120 max. Mm-hmm. And it's on there. Like I have a breaker bar that I'm hanging off of, and it's, and then it finally comes off. And I don't know why.
And there's the other one that Milwaukee makes it, and a few others make it now, but it's it's just a battery ratchet. So it's about a little bit thicker than a normal ratchet, but what's great is you don't need room to swing it because you just squeeze it and it'll do it. So if you can't reach in there, you don't have room to swing, or maybe you don't have a snap-on ratchet set that has 1,000,000 teeth in it, and you can't get full swing. Just take it right on and off, and I think that only goes up to like 80 pounds or something like that. So you're not going to break anything with it. You still might have to go back and tighten it up on a lot of things. But
if you're working under a hood, those things are lifesavers.
Oh yes,
because with as little room as you get under there to actually swing a ratchet.
It's perfect.
And that technology changes too, because 10 years ago, I remember a friend of mine had one of those and he was like, hey, check it out. And I went to use it and it wouldn't loosen anything, right? Like it for putting stuff on, so you're not with your fingers in the middle or whatever. Like it had its place.
Right.
But I remember going, I wouldn't spend $100 on this. I don't work enough under the engine bay or wherever to do it.
Well,
but now they've come like 80 foot-pound of torque and something that small.
Yeah. Battery lasts quite a while too, and then I'm sure it's really unhealthy for it. I don't think it's designed to be this way, but if you set it into like neutral, so like you're not actually using it, it's just stiff. You can actually use it still like as a like you can still
I didn't know that.
Push it so you could get that first break. You can break the seat of the nut, and then you can squeeze it and it'll take it off the rest of the way. So you just don't need to go get that other tool. So things like that are really convenient. Even DeWalt has a 3/4 ratchet impact. But it's like a 12 volt, so it's like it's not those huge ones. It's about half the size, so it just fits in a lot of places that the others don't. So things like that are pretty neat. I'm excited for more of those. I really want to just go get like the full set of Milwaukee power stuff now.
Yeah, I started
be able to put down the power.
Charge it, just run it.
Yeah, I recently started doing more work around the house and just building random things, and I've just my garage has been filling up with DeWalt stuff. And I'm also like I don't necessarily. I don't hop on the train for like one certain brand or another, but as soon as I do buy one, I got to buy everything else in that same brand. So everything in my garage is turning into yellow.
The batteries are more expensive than the actual tools a lot of the time.
When you get into battery bill, they have to. Dude, the batteries, have you priced the batteries?
Yes.
They're insane.
So I've had to buy extra DeWalt batteries.
I'm mad. I went in over this Christmas break going, I've got 2 batteries and 4 different, like, I bought a kit a couple years ago that's got the impact, the drill, a light, and the Sawzall. And I think it was like on sale for $250 or whatever. And I was like, I'm cheap. That's cool.
That's a good deal.
2 batteries and a charger. But I'm always like switching batteries because I've got 4 things, and one I want to keep in the light even though I don't ever use it. So I figure, okay, I'll buy a battery. I didn't buy a battery.
Because the light could use the battery for hours and hours. But you put a saw.
The Sawzall murders.
You put the battery on a Sawzall, gone by the time you're doing whatever job you're doing. You better have another one.
They make a super battery. So like mine or whatever, they're an inch thick, and I guess the more premium or time amp hours, whatever it is in battery nerd technology, it's bigger, right? So the big one that they have there, I want to say was almost $200 for the battery, and I was like, no.
They go up to 24 volts now or something, and they're just massive.
Pawn shop, Facebook Marketplace. I can find somebody who either found some or they don't need it anymore.
Yep. But so real quick before we sign off, just a quick kind of fire round for you guys, right? So I'm going to say just a tool, general use tool, and you have to say cheap or expensive.
Okay.
Right? If you would buy it cheap or if you would buy it expensive, if it's worth spending the money on, right?
And so we're not saying used or new. Assuming
we're
all
going to
new.
take that out of the equation.
Yeah, all new.
Assume new.
Assume new, cheap or expensive.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I already know the answer for most of these, just because I know you guys and from a previous conversation. But
now, just because I say expensive probably means I have a cheap one at the house, though. So
this is suggestive, not personal.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
This is not personal.
Yeah, don't do.
All right.
Do it as I say, not as I do.
Jack stands.
Cheap.
I have cheap.
Like I understand it, but I don't like it.
It's fun. I mean,
I understand
what is it? Is it stamped steel?
The problem with it, it's cast like whatever, but
no, I've never owned a name brand.
No way.
I say
Jack
this,
stand.
and I don't,
or Jack.
I'm pretty sure I got mine from somebody. I don't even know where they came from.
And I think that's how most people get their Jack stands. Is they borrow it from someone else and then they never return
And
it.
you should put a wheel under there.
Yeah, like when you take the wheel off, you slide it back under the frame,
there.
so at least it doesn't fully compress your chest when it falls on you.
And again, I'm a Jeep guy, right? So like most of them, it could fall
probably bench
down.
press a TJ out of your way.
Well, we don't want to have feats of strength yet. we'll wait on that one.
Hammer.
Expensive.
Yeah, same.
I saw that coming on both y'all. I like that.
Because all I've owned is cheap, and they've all been awful.
Now, I've had an East Wing, like when I was doing construction work for a while, and the way the handle is like thinner steel, so if you do miss, it doesn't shatter the handle. Like a decently weighted, like East Wing hammer could almost do anything you needed to do. You could chop wood with it if you had to.
I wanted to hear that from you because I've never had an expensive hammer, but
Same.
I kind of want one just because I want to see what that high ceiling of a hammer feels like.
Yeah,
and I don't remember what the ounce is off my head. I want to say 20, like it comes in different weights. So not the whatever the smallest or lowest one is. That very next one up is like a framing hammer.
Yeah.
And dude, you got to watch out. Like it's the claw on it is longer, and so for prying stuff it's better, and it's like sharp and does stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Also, they don't really go bad, right? You kind of have it forever almost.
I just broke a dead blow from Harbor Freight.
Oh, right. Well, I'm saying a good, like if you
a
buy
regular
the good hammer,
steel hammer, no.
So you're buying like the wood handle. That's hammers from Harbor
and that's
Freight
what I always used to get, and those
Yeah.
handles would always
And technically,
break.
have you? Yeah, I mean,
Get
I
splintered
probably
up.
broke one or two. But again, they're 65 cents. You know, so you have to weigh
With a
like
wa-
the
with a
East
warranty,
Wing
too,
is
so just go
probably
swap it out.
$30 or $40.
Okay. Screwdrivers. So a screwdriver set.
Expensive.
That I'm gonna say it depends on what you're doing. If you are constantly using them,
I don't own screwdrivers. I'm buying them from my garage.
for what are you doing with them?
Installing truck parts.
How many times? I mean, if you're installing truck parts, you're not gonna be using it that awesome. I'd go cheap. I have cheap screwdrivers, and
So now I feel the
I own
need to
Harbor Freight
defend.
screwdrivers,
Well, this
'cause-
is a we need to defend these positions too. I think if we
Okay,
agree,
yeah.
we move on. If we don't,
if
you
you
say
don't,
why.
we
yeah,
can
if you don't
elaborate.
agree.
Well, I've
So
explained mine.
The reason why I say expensive is because if you're taking on a fastener on and off more than one or two times, like you messed up. So I did we're installing this thing and you didn't read the instructions, which I always read all the instructions. I don't know about you guys, but and maybe this is a personal disability. But when I don't read the instructions, I put something on and then realize, you idiot, you're supposed to do this first. It comes back off. So the on and off with a cheap screwdriver, it doesn't feel like the size of the screwdriver is right. So my Craftsman old man numbered Phillips head screwdrivers fit the thing, and you're like, oh, like that's not stripping the fastener.
Like it's fitted.
If you strip a Phillips head fastener in a vehicle, it's almost the worst thing ever to get out. So that's my...
So okay. I agree with everything he says. I still go cheap though.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
but
what you said.
He's a Honda guy. Just saying. He used to be reformed
I do
Honda
agree with
Ford
what
guy.
You're saying. When you strip a Phillips head screw when you're installing something on your truck, it's one of the worst things ever.
Mm-hmm.
But with Harbor Freight, I could buy their like 78-piece set.
And they
where
actually,
I know and they have a size that fits it.
And this is back to the technology and what these cheap-ish vendors do. They have decent, like you don't... 10 years ago, they only had garbage. Mm-hmm. And now they've got their, mechanical, whatever they call it, branded set that's not that bad.
Yeah. I will say, too, to your point, like with the nice like Craftsman, it just feels like it fits right. I would always strip stuff out with my power drill because also, it's less, you get less feel for it.
Yeah.
And strip it out, especially when you're putting together like cheap IKEA furniture.
Oh,
something like that, with real cheap hardware.
You're going into particle board.
What are you putting IKEA together with your impact, bro? Like
300 foot-pounds.
It didn't work.
Well, like my father-in-law showed me this Craftsman bit. It has like a real skinny neck on it, and then it's like a Phillips head at the end, and it's probably about 2.5 inches long or something like that. For whatever reason, it fits every Phillips head perfectly.
I noticed that more with cheap Allen wrenches versus screwdrivers.
Yeah, Allen wrenches because you need a really like tight tolerance.
And when I thought I was, and it's always the worst with very small fasteners with the Allen wrenches. And I always thought I'd be stripping all these screws out, but I'm actually just rounding off the actual Allen bit itself because the metal they're made of is so soft.
Yep. That's the only thing that's worse than a stripped Phillips.
Right.
It's a stripped Allen.
I do own 2 complete Craftsman sets of Allen key.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's worth it. I agree with that. That should have been on this list. Next one would be drill bits.
Expensive,
100%.
Good. Okay. Good call.
They burn up like
especially going through metal.
I go cheap screwdriver because there's not a lot of torque.
That's a good point.
Wood ones I'll pretty much buy and use about whatever. You're going through metal, get like a DeWalt diamond bit, Cobalt diamond bit, something like that. Get you a nice name brand one, and then you have all the right sizes. That goes down to the super small ones, and then just be smart, drill your pilots, all that kind of stuff, and they don't break on you. Because I've actually just snapped them off.
Oh yeah,
on the cheap ones, and that's a bad day.
Well, and I feel the need as a service bulletin call to tell anybody watching, like this is serious. Slow down your drills. America, take your drill and slow it down. Because I swear, I'm working with people. They get my drill bits, which again, I don't have expensive everything, but I have good drill bits. Dude puts it in the thing and it's howling. I'm like, whoa, man. Like, slow your drilling down. So that's just my service bulletin for this.
I'm a full throttle driller.
You are. That's why
you can tell.
I can tell.
I highly prefer drills that are have like a wired plug.
So you just keep it up.
Because they're way
keep
faster.
The RPM
they don't slow down.
Yeah.
They got way more power.
Yeah.
You really just put your weight into it. Put it behind your right shoulder. Just really just put your weight into it.
See,
give it to it.
You're not using
drilling
my
through
bits.
a frame or something. You need it,
but you don't. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you think you need it.
You think?
Yeah.
What do you want? Like
Time's
a vise, so you can put the drill. You need a drill in a vise, so you can put just pressure. It's pressure. Yeah. That's what you want to do.
100%.
Yeah. So you need a punch, not a drill, or a plasma cutter.
I gotta look at one of those. Those are fun. Next one, socket set.
Cheap.
Yeah, cheap sockets, expensive
We kind of
ratchet.
went over that a little bit earlier.
Yep.
I like it.
6-point or 12.
Breaker bar.
Bar. Expensive.
I've never used an expensive one. I don't know. I haven't done as much heavy duty stuff as Klay. So like the cheap stuff works for my work, but I've never done anything
Well,
too
and that's
crazy.
a good point.
Hondas.
I'm working
Well,
on Hondas.
yeah. Well, Honda's got a couple of fasteners that they overdid, man.
Their crank bolts are a little
Yeah,
bit.
I bet you there's nothing over 100 foot-pounds on a Honda.
No,
You
their
take a
crank bolts are
crank
nuts.
pulley bolt off.
crank
You
bolt,
need more. So, like building axles, you need 3/4 inch breaker bar. Like to give you reference, a 78.9 Ford high pinion Dana 60 front, which is like holy grail axle territory for off-roaders. Whenever you're rebuilding it, you're not going to use the old stuff. The kingpin, that is the what the axle knuckle spins on, that kingpin is on from the factory at 600 foot-pound of torque.
Okay.
So I had to order a hex key that goes in it, heat it up with a torch, put a 3/4 inch breaker bar on it with a pipe. Right? And then when it popped, it almost felt like somebody shot something, you know, like you were too close to a train track or something. You felt like you were like in harm's way.
This close to danger.
I also have I've also
expensive breaker bar in that
two or three breaker bars.
Yeah, I would say expensive breaker bar.
Especially like on your F-250s that have the traction bars and the huge bolt that holds the traction bar onto the frame on the mount. I couldn't get it with the weight of my body, so you gotta take
which was only 170 something, 175 pounds.
So you take a floor jack, right? Don't advise this. Take a floor jack, put it underneath it, start cranking it up.
Oh yeah.
Broke them. I would just take them right back to the auto parts store I got it from. They give me a new one, and then eventually when I brought on the same project, I brought it back again. The guy's like, man, we gotta do something else. I can't just keep on just giving you these every other day. So I got a 1-inch breaker bar, and then had to get a adapter to bring it back down to 3/4. I won't break that.
Or I'm sorry, you're right. No, it's a 1-inch breaker.
Yeah, it's a 1-inch,
huge
and then you get the reducer
breaker bar, and you get a reducer.
It's nice,
yeah,
though. It's so nice. You won't break it, and also just the diameter of the actual breaker bar just feels a little bit better in your hand. It doesn't move or bend or anything like that, and it is better to be able to slide the pipe over or whatever. So I will say expensive with that. If you're working on like heavy truck stuff, you won't break it. You don't have to worry about it, because otherwise it's never the actual bar that breaks. It's the knuckle. It's the knuckle. But when that knuckle breaks, it gets pretty scary too. When you're putting your whole weight behind it and stuff like that, you don't want that popping off. That's a real bad day.
And the more you like break stuff trying to get a fastener off, I think the more damage you do to the actual mechanical thing, the bolt or the whatever it is. So having a breaker bar that you can bounce, put a little bit of weight on, and it's not going to break. I don't know. It makes me feel. It's nice. Makes me sleep better.
Yeah, and really, the price difference between a really nice one and an expensive one is not that different. No. It's not that different. Just don't cheap out on it. But if you can't find a 1-inch and then get a reducer, that's the way to go. I agree. All right, last one. Gloves. We're talking disposable or reusable.
I wear disposable for chemicals. I don't wear anything else for protective gear, honestly.
Yeah,
was it the blue nitride gloves?
I've made the switch to the dark side. I spent the first 10 years working on everything no gloves.
And that's
so
I think
oil, diff fluid, transmission fluid. I used to think it was funny, right? Like I would be changing gears and just have 80 weight diff fluid up to my elbows and like whatever, man, it's fine. It's not good for you.
And that's why why I started doing it too, because I did the same high school project cars for
no gloves. I didn't have any
4 years. The chemicals are all over the place, whether it's brake cleaner, oil, any hydraulic fluid, all that kind of crap. It's not.
So now I'm a glove guy and a glove guy for the thing. So like the Dr. Nitride, whatever, latex gloves, nitrile. I use those for anything that's going to have, I use them when I change my oil, right? Like, because I don't want the oil on my skin and all that.
It's also just messy. It's just messy. And you get oil, oil everywhere, everything you touch.
It's a whole lot easier when you get some oil on your hands, just pull the gloves off.
Yeah. Now, especially disposables. I like the disposables. I only own disposables. I don't own reusables. However, I'm always kind of in this, this conundrum. Do I buy the 1 mil ones, like the Harbor Freight 1 mil ones that keep on ripping on you?
No.
But you get 300 in a pack, or are you buying like those whatever they are, like 8 mils? Like,
well, you gotta watch that. If you go too thick with those things, your skin will sweat and fall off. Like I bought the Harbor Freight they come up to here. Yeah. I can't
They're
use them.
They're like real dark blue, almost purple.
Yeah,
color.
I can't use them. Like there's a middle ground where and I don't know what size we use next door, but there's a middle ground where they're thick enough that brushing lightly up against anything doesn't rip them. them.
Right.
But they're not so bad that like you pull it off and there's like a cup of sweat in the glove.
Yeah.
But for welding, I'm thin gloves you shouldn't use, guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like I should be using these big, thick, crazy gloves. And so for all that stuff, I still err on the side of I'd rather it get too hot and just painfully fight through it so I can feel what's going on.
Right. I kind of own both. I'll use both. You just get way more. So sometimes if I know I'm doing a project where I'm not really going to have the opportunity to, I got a rip, let me take that off, or I'm going to be changing my oil or diff fluid, whatever, I'll go ahead and I'll put like 2 or 3 of those cheap ones on.
I was just going to say, though.
That's the move. Because you get about 3 more in a box.
Yep.
So you just put like 2 or 3 on because they're loose enough, because they're thin, whatever.
You got small hands. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Mine aren't loose. I mean,
so you can if it does get a rip,
bursting
you
at the
leave
seams.
it
Are the
on, it doesn't get
gloves
through.
loose?
No.
See, I'm not.
Or if it does get dirty,
Speak
as
for
like Dustin
yourself.
was saying, you just take them right off, but then you slide it right off. You still got another one under it. You don't even need to get back up and go put another set on. So anyway, I want to see what y'all thought on that, because I know some people who are very against gloves because they don't get as tactile of a feel. They don't.
Yeah.
They lose the sensation at the end of their fingers to be able to.
Depends on what you're doing. If you're
things.
rebuilding a transmission and it's like all the parts are crystal clean, you don't have to wear gloves. You don't want to wear gloves. But if you're doing average stuff that people are doing, maintenance for sure, all of that, 100% gloves.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Always.
All right. Well, it was fun having you, Klay. We'll do it again sometime. And
Cool.
I want to thank everyone for listening and watching if you're watching on YouTube. And feel free to like and subscribe, comment some of your favorite tools, where you would cheap out, where you would spend the money. And we'll see you on episode 10. Thanks.
See you.